Welcome to Star Citizen, version 3.20 live and the best features. Because the alpha version 3.20 has reached the live server. And we take a look at the best features and say goodbye Port Olisar. The largest part of 3.20 takes place in the Arena Commander, which has been extensively revised and expanded. However, there were also some innovations in the persistent universe, including a larger one, the MISC Hull-C. Because with over 4,000 SCU freight capacity, the Hull-C is by far the largest cargo ship currently in the verse. And for this, some changes were also necessary in the cargo mechanics. But also space industry experts like salvager and mining specialists were not short of the 320, as there were also some expansions and improvements. And with the Seraphim Space Station, high above the clouds of Horizon, we also got a successor for Port Olisar. But let's start with the MISC Hull-C. And of course, we have already presented these to you in an extensive ship guide. With the Hull-C, we got the first mass freighter in a size category, which is actually intended for inter-system trade. However, the initial capacities are still limited to the Stanton system. And for this there were adjustments in the cargo mechanics. So we already have the opportunity to trade with the Hull-C between the stations in the Stent system. But still in a limited scope. The true strengths of the Hull-C can only play out when we see Pyro and other systems, which is no longer to be expected this year. And as long as we have to get out of the Stent system. And we can recommend everyone to take a detailed tour through this large space freighter. Because the optics and the mechanics that this ship has to offer are often unique so far. A large part of the changes in the 3.20 take place in the Arena Commander, which has received an extensive update. In this way, modes such as the Pirate Swarm have been extensively redesigned and offer new challenges. Whereby we, among other things, fight several attackers and an Idris with an active javelin. And the rewards have also been adjusted. So there is a new Pirate Aggressor badge if you complete the Arena Commander mode Pirate Swarm in multiplayer. And due to the new AI improvements, the level of difficulty has also become significantly higher. Especially since we meet more opponents and more difficult opponents. The new Pirate Swarm is definitely a highlight of the 3.20 and we liked it very much. Here we can also recommend you to take a look at it in any case. But other modes in the Arena Commander have also been adapted. Whereby elements from the Theodos of War development have been included. In the first-person mode, i.e. the Star Marine module, there were some new maps, optical adjustments and the feeling of the game has been significantly expanded. The Star Marine has also been completely updated in the Arena Commander and there will be no more gross differences. Instead, we find the different modes all in a new overview, after the front end has also experienced an overhaul. On the other hand, the update for another mode, namely racing, was significantly more extensive. Because the racetracks from the persistent universe were also made available in the Arena Commander. In addition, we have received some new maps, which visually and playfully give a lot more. In general, the focus was placed a little more on racing and therefore the overhauls were well met. Also in addition, we have another ship in this sector with the racing variant of the Mirai Fury. This also appears shortly after 3.20. After we can finally play the persistent universe racing maps extensively and without restrictions in the Arena Commander, we have a lot of time savings and no risk of loss. This way the racing mechanics can fully play out their strengths and we hope for more in this area. It should also be mentioned that in the Arena Commander individual modes with the new master modes are available in an early, pre-release version. Here you can see how the master modes are already testable for future versions. For example, you can switch between an SCM and NAV mode and vary the speed significantly. Details about the master modes can be found in a next version of this variant. Rather a current side project of the Arena Commander is a battle royal with tanks, the Tank Royal. Here we are on the road with Nova tanks and can heat each other up. But this is not really working out yet. With the implementation of the Hull-C, there were also expansions in the cargo mechanics. This is how the physicalized cargo is adapted and expanded. However, this is not yet really noticeable, i.e. with larger cargo containers. Only with the Hull-C we have a new cargo system, which makes it possible to load the Hull-C in space. But the cargo mechanics is of course also limited to cargo. So we currently do not have 32 SCU cargo containers glued to our outer shell or other items that we would like to take with us. Improvements in the tractor beam mechanics in the quality of life segment are more noticeable. This way we will see in the future which items we have captured with our tractor beam. And captured cargo pieces are no longer surprise boxes, but we can estimate how far it is worth taking the cargo. A small thing, but very effective. However, we still lack the ship's tractor beams. These are not in the 3.20. There are some space stations in Star Citizen, on the residence planets in orbit or at the Lagrange points. But there was only one Port Olisar. And the emphasis here is on was, because Port Olisar is no longer available in the 3.20. Because the iconic Lady, which for many citizens was the first contact point with a persistent universe, was replaced by the Seraphim Station. And this, unlike Port Olisar, equals all other generic space stations. We will therefore keep Port Olisar in good memory. Because there was only one Port Olisar, and that will always remain. It remains to be seen whether we will see it again in any way. As a mission site or just as a flying museum. Because there were some possibilities and options for this. And the Horizon area is also large enough to accommodate a Port Olisar somewhere. The change from Port Olisar to the Seraphim Station is seamless. That means there is no in-game event or anything like that. With a login to the 3.20 you will find the Seraphim Station. Here the iconic Port Olisar ring structures are clearly visible. Otherwise it remains a normal space station. It should be mentioned that Port Olisar did not have the possibility to spawn, had no medical facilities, no docking possibilities for larger ships and some other game mechanics, which have been added to the game since the Port Olisar implementation. Seraphim offers all this and is a logical consequence for the further development of the game. Here we find a cargo deck, a gallery area, and all the other amenities that we are used to from the space stations in Star Citizen. Nevertheless, it would have been good to keep some areas of Port Olisar or memories of it a little closer. There were also innovations in the industry sector, because in the field of salvaging and mining some improvements and adjustments were made. Thus, the salvaging missions were expanded and now allow much more income, especially as far as the cargo you can find is concerned. In addition, with the munching, the shredding of larger ship parts, the next elite ration of this mechanics is already underway. However, the salvaging mechanics are still reserved for the Drake Vulture and the Aegis Reclaimer. In addition, we can expect further changes here in the short term. Because the various modules, equipment items, and demolition lasers leave a lot of room for expansion here. This means that the salvaging mechanics with the 3.20 have been expanded and strengthened again, and remain a fixed size in the industry gameplay. In addition, hard-working salvagers have the opportunity to take on much more lucrative missions, but also more dangerous missions, and to try their luck. But salvaging is not the only industry mechanic that has also been adapted and expanded with the 3.20. Because even the 3.20 is not the end of the world. The mining was reworked and adapted again. For example, the mole has experienced a meaningful expansion, whereby the pilot can now see where the corresponding materials are located. But there were no major innovations, because most of the changes to the mining mechanics took place under the hood. Nevertheless, the mining, either solo or in a team, remains a lucrative and safe mechanic with the 3.20, to earn as many USC as possible as quickly as possible. And finally, the 3.20 offers some quality of life improvements, such as new menu options. So we can hide group invitations, or it is not easier for other players to send us money. These are rather trifles and no real features. Nevertheless, we wish you a lot of fun in Star Citizen 3.20. See you soon.
But